Thank you, Secretary Bartenfelder. At this time, I'm going to ask Secretary Grumbles to come to the podium again. He sat down beside me there, and I knew he was worried about his notes because I heard him ask somebody behind him. So once again, the Agroecology Center came through. Secretary Grumbles was also appointed to his position at MDE by the Governor Larry Hogan. Prior to that, he had served as president of the U.S. Water Alliance, an environmental nonprofit that educates the public on the value of water and the need for policies that integrate energy, water, and climate strategies. I have heard that Secretary Grumbles is a very innovative thinker, and he has, prior to his role with the U.S. Water Alliance, he had been presidentially appointed as Assistant Administrator of Water at U.S. EPA, and he had also served in the Environmental Council and senior staff for Transportation and Infrastructure in the Science Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives. But the most important thing is he's lived in the Chesapeake Bay watershed for 30 years, so he knows our system. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce Secretary Ben Grumbles.
Ed, I did wash my hands after going to the bathroom. Well, I can't think of a more important place to be in the state of Maryland and in the Chesapeake Bay watershed than right here, right now on this day. This has been in the works for some time, and I want to do a couple things. One is to call out a few people, thank some folks, but then also very briefly just lay out some of the basic points and priorities and driving forces and upcoming actions, and recognize that this is a really important day. As Joe Bartenfelder mentioned, tremendous amount of progress on collaboration on phosphorus management because people got together, people with different perspectives, different agendas, but look for common ground, understanding facts and needs, and that led to, I think, one of the greatest environmental successes of the 2015 session, and that was making progress for the Chesapeake Bay, working with agriculture and environment and the scientific community and make a real difference. So the stakes are pretty high today. But not everything's going to get accomplished, and all of us know that over the years there's talk about new tools, new partnerships, new opportunities to clean up the environment, to sustain our economy, but it takes real action, it takes pilot projects, it takes well-intended thoughtful people. It takes some skeptics and some cynics to engage and lay out needs. So all of that I'm really excited about. And I want to thank Nancy Nunn and Sarah Taylor Rogers for their work in helping to pull this together. I absolutely need to thank my staff, Lee Curry, Lynn Buell, leaders on the environment and the collaboration, the very strong collaboration with Joe Bartenfelder and his team at Department of Agriculture. It's critically important, and it's going to continue, and it's going to grow, and you're going to be surprised at how effectively we can work together. I also want to thank Department of Natural Resources, Secretary Belton, who's very much a part of this, and Joanne Throw, the Deputy Secretary, who also has had a very distinguished career in public service and in advancing the ball through the Environmental Finance Center, University of Maryland, on environmental markets. And that fundamentally is what we're talking about today, and the future of environmental protection in Maryland and throughout the nation is environmental markets, public-private partnerships, not to replace the regulatory command and control system entirely or to take the place of enforcement, but to bring more people, more players, more problem solvers to the table, and to recognize that if we are serious about meeting our goals for cleaning up the Chesapeake Bay and sustaining that cleanup, we have a $14 billion price tag. And we have $7 billion of it that's probably going to depend on success in the urban arena when it comes to stormwater. And so we know that we need agriculture and urban wastewater and stormwater and septic and land managers to all be in the same room working together to meet fishable, swimmable, cleaner than before, and TMDL requirements. So I'm really excited about the opportunities we have. Governor Hogan assembled a cabinet on the Chesapeake Bay. I chair the cabinet, but it is a very strong priority for the Hogan administration to have Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary of Natural Resources, Secretary of Planning, Secretary of Transportation, all in the same room, meeting frequently to identify priorities and opportunities. And one of the very top priorities is to make real progress, finally, on markets, on nutrient trading. And that's why I'm excited that we issued the policy statement that underscores the absolute imperative for safeguards to make sure that transparency and accountability are there, that they're in place. Trading will not succeed. Water quality credit exchanges will not succeed if we don't have those fundamental principles embedded into our actions. That's how Maryland can continue to be a leader in the Chesapeake Bay. Other states like Virginia are really moving out on the trading, nutrient trading, and we want to catch up and we want to surpass those efforts so that we can live up to our watershed implementation plan obligations and requirements. So I look at the agenda, I look at the audience, and I'm very pleased that we don't have all of the key players here, but we have so many people. And people like Bob Summers, former Secretary of MDE, who has invested quite a bit of time and effort in trying to get it right, is here. And John Griffin, and players who have seen great ideas not just quite catch on because there wasn't necessarily a regulatory driver. We have a regulatory driver in 2016. We have the Chesapeake Bay TMDL. As I mentioned, we have the driver of making sure that stormwater regulations and requirements and permits are met. I'm excited as part of the governor's team to really launch a restoration economy in the state of Maryland. That doesn't mean backtracking or diluting the environmental requirements and standards and commitments we have to green infrastructure and connecting land and water strategies. But what it does mean is that we have to get real and practical and embrace new tools and innovative partnerships, public-private partnerships. And that's happening across the state. The real question is, are we going to put in place detailed policies and manuals and regulations so that we can move forward, convince some of those skeptics, some of the relentless rejectionists who are just too comfortable with the status quo, that no, we can do this right, we're going to learn, but we are moving forward. We're going to do that. And this is a critical step in that journey. As you know, there are actions that are occurring, and there are actions that are planned. And I'm so happy that the Department of Agriculture, Susan Payne, and the team at Department of Agriculture published the regulations on certification and verification for agricultural BMPs. MDE has a lot of work to do on the finishing touches of the draft, a manual that we will then engage with stakeholders and advisory committees and all the other components that are so critical to success for nutrient trading. That's all coming in the weeks ahead. I'm excited about the General Assembly, the opportunity working with Delegate Otto and working with leaders in the various committees in the House and the Senate to lay out a proactive, pro-environment agenda that really moves the ball forward. And that includes innovative funding and financing, using the Bay Restoration Fund for the purchase of credits, keeping polluters responsible for their obligations, but bringing in new partners. That's what trading is all about, and that's what these public-private partnerships are all about. And so, again, thanks for being here. Make sure you share your ideas and thoughts and connect with different people involved. There's a true wealth of experience and ideas and opportunity in the audience, and that's really what a symposium is all about. So make the most of today. I plan to be here throughout the whole symposium so that I can learn, and that Lynn Buell and Lee Curry and other key staff for MDE have a clear idea on who do we need to be talking with, how do we broaden the collaboration and make sure transparency, accountability, verification are all fundamental bedrock principles of moving forward. Thank you so much.